Hey gaming fans, so today's another Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck profile, and it's also for GOAT format, and this is Skull Servants. Now, I have done a Skull Servant deck, but in the actual modern format, like the regular format, so I thought I'd give it a shot in GOAT format. It's a little bit tougher, and there isn't as much support for them. Really, there's only the 2 cards, but still, I think you could still pull off a pretty big Skull Servant, well, King of the Skull Servant anyways. So, to start off, we got the 3 Skull Servants. You do have to play all 6 Skull Servants that are available in GOAT format, or otherwise it wouldn't really be a Skull Servant deck. So these are pretty self-explanatory. They're nothing there. They're just the 300 level 1s. I mean, they could come in handy for some cards, and really you just want to get them into the graveyard. You don't want to see them. So the main card really is the King of the Skull Servants. So this is what the whole deck is based on. So the original attack of this becomes the number of King of the Skull Servants and Skull Servants in your graveyard times 1,000. So, you know, pretty much his max will be 5,000, which is still high in this format. I mean, even if you get him at the 4,000 or 3,000, that's still pretty impressive. So really the goal of the deck is to get as many of these guys into the graveyard as possible. So then we play 3 Pyramid Turtle. Again, this is going to help with your cause. You're going to be able to search either one of these guys, depending on what you need. So if you already have the King of the Skull Servants maybe in your hand, and you just want to get another Skull Servant into the grave, you know, you can ram your Pyramid Turtle or have him be attacked and then pull out a Skull Servant. So it pretty much pulls out any zombie monster with a defense of 2,000 or less. And there's a few other cards you could pull out as well. Well, at least one other card. One Tribe Infecting Virus, just put them right there. When I first built this deck, I realized that I was missing a lot of removal, and why not throw in a Tribe Infecting Virus? Plus, it allows you to pitch cards that could be in your hand that you don't want to have in your hand. So you can pitch Skull Servant to destroy your opponent's monsters, and then you have a 1,600 beater to you know, attack. Then the next monster, which is also a target for your Pyramid Turtle, is Ryokoki. So it's pretty much just a 2400 zombie beat stick. If a monster that battles with this monster is a warrior or a spellcaster type monster, you can destroy that monster at the end of the damage step. Now what's cool about that is if your opponent summons Blackluster Soldier in defense mode to banish one of your cards, during your next turn you could summon Ryokoki and attack into that Blackluster Soldier, and its effect will kill it. The same with the Chaos Sorcerer, but I mean 2400 is already big enough to run over the Chaos Sorcerer anyways, but you know, just in case. And then for the last of the zombies, we're playing a very slim monster lineup. That's 3 Despair of the Dark. I just wanted to have another real big beat stick in this deck. So really what this deck tries to do is just hit hard. Once it sets up and gets the zombies into the graveyard, you're going to hopefully hit with a big King of the Skull Servants. But at the same time, you can also be hitting with these guys. They're pretty big, 2,800. And the thing I like about this guy is when he is sent from your hand or deck to the graveyard by your opponent's card effect, special summon this card to the field. So if you had 2 of these in your opening hand and your opponent thinks they're going to win the duel by playing Delinquent Duo, they're going to be crying because you're going to have 2 2,800 beat sticks staring down at them. Really fun cards. Even if they play Card Destruction or Don Zalug or anything else that just pitches a card out of your hand. Now we get into the spells. So we're playing obviously the Pot of Greed and Graceful Charity and Snatch Steal. I'm not playing Delinquent Duo in this deck. Like I said in my other videos, I don't put Delinquent in every single deck I build. But you know, like, it's up to you. That's a personal preference. Snatch Steal, it's okay in this deck. I mean, you can steal your opponent's BLS and stuff, or you can steal a monster and then tribute it off for your Ryokoki. So it really depends on what you're going to do with Snatch Steal. It could also just be just to get a monster out of the way to attack for game. And because we have to worry about spells and traps, 1 Mystical Space Typhoon and 1 Heavy Storm, I was trying to find more room for just generic destruction, but I mean, right now I'm just sticking with these 2. And because we do play a lot of those big zombies, Call It a Mummy. So I'm playing 2 of those. So you can actually just drop this guy down for free without having to tribute summon him if you have Call It a Mummy out. Another thing you could do, because Call It a Mummy, as long as you don't have any other monsters on the field, you could special summon a zombie from your hand. So, I mean, you could even special summon a Skull Servant in defense mode, or you could special summon the Skull Servant and then tribute him off for your Ryokoki to just get a big monster onto the field. Wherever I put him, there he is. So, you know, it really depends. Or you could special summon any of your zombies, really. Then to help get the Skull Servants into the graveyard fast, I'm playing 3 Last Wills. This is pretty much a Sangan in a spell form. If you control, you can only use this card effect once, and only during the turn, only during that turn. When a monster on your side of the field is sent from to your graveyard, you can special summon one monster with an attack of 1,500 points or less from your deck, and then shuffle your deck. So your primary targets are going to be your Skull Servants. Unfortunately, you cannot grab King of the Skull Servants because he has a question mark, so he's not a valid target. But you can grab your Pyramid Turtle and you can grab your Skull Servants, depending on what you need. And if you grab a Pyramid Turtle, you can crash the Pyramid Turtle to get your King of the Skull Servants out. So, the only thing I'm not 100% sure, because, you know, these are older cards and the way they were worded, like it says you can only use this card effect once. I think it means this card, so I think you can play multiple Last Wills. I don't think it's like a, you know, a hard once per turn, but I'm not 100% sure on that. Then we got 2 Metamorphoses, because we do play your standard fusion deck, which I didn't grab, but I mean, it's pretty standard fusion deck, you know, Thousand Eyes Restrict, or any of the other fusion material monsters. Again, you are playing Snatch Steal, so as long as you can cover almost every level in your fusion build, you know, but mainly it's going to be, Metamorphosis is going to be for your Skull Servant to go into Thousand Eyes Restrict. You can do your Despair to Gatling Dragon, I believe, but that's up to you. Then we got 2 Monster Gates. Also, to notice about Metamorphosis, is a way for you to trigger your Last Will. So if you summon your Skull Servant, you play your Last Will card, and then you can Metamorphose the card off, get your Thousand Eyes Restrict, and then get your search off for your Last Will. So that's one way to trigger it. But also another way to trigger Last Will is through Monster Gate. Same deal. Summon your Skull Servant, Monster Gate him, and hopefully you pull out your big guy. And this is why I kept the monster count light in this deck. Kind of like you would in a Reasoning Gate kind of deck. You want to hit the big guys. You don't want to, you know, it'll happen where you'll hit the Skull Servants. But again, you want them out of the deck and possibly into the graveyard. So even if you do hit a Skull Servant, maybe you can Metamorphosis, maybe you play another Monster Gate. Either way, depending on what's in your hand. Then we got 3 Book of Life, because why not? I mean, it's practically a Monster Reborn for the entire deck. The only card it can't reborn is your Tribe Infecting Virus, because he's an Aqua. But every other monster in your deck is a zombie. And what's good too is it does remove a monster from your opponent's graveyard, so you could disrupt their chaos plays and stuff like that. And then again, to deal with more monsters and to get some cards out of your hand into the graveyard, Lightning Vortex is a good card, because you can. It's kind of like your Tribe Infecting Virus play, where you can throw a Skull Servant out of your hand, or even just throw one of these guys out of your hand and then revive them with Book of Life. So, and you're going to destroy monsters, so you'll have targets for Book of Life. Then I put in the 2 Noblemen of Crossout, because that way, if your opponent does try to go on the defensive and you got your big guy out, you can just get rid of them. And to help with Noblemen's and for your own protection, 2 Book of Moon. Again, I was thinking about bumping that up to 3, but right now I'm sticking with 2. And then some generic traps. We got Call It Haunted, Ring of Destruction, and Mirror Force. Again, these can be anything. I mean, you can... I was thinking maybe Sakuratsu instead of Call It Haunted, because we might not need that much. You know, we have already 3 Book of Life, so that already might be enough recursion. The only good thing about Call It Haunted is it's the only card that can bring back your Tribe Infecting Virus. And of course, Ring is self-explanatory. That can, you know, win you the game. And then Mirror Force just to keep your opponent's monsters in check. Anyways, that's the build. I mean, like I said, I forgot to grab my fusion deck, but it's pretty much just a standard fusion deck. I mean, there's nothing special about it. It's just Thousand Eyes Restrict and then a few other targets that you might be able to hit. Anyways, hope you liked the deck. Let me know what you think. Throw some comments down below. Hope you subscribe. Talk to you later.